is Supergirl? And what is her origin story? How is she different from her cousin Clark Kent? And what should we expect for next year's movie? Now, Supergirl is Superman's cousin. Her name is Kara Zor-El, and unlike Clark, she grew up on Krypton. She was a teenager when her entire world ended, so she had to go through that, and now she carries the grief of an entire planet and an entire species and everybody she once knew. So she's traumatized and angry and depressed, and that really forms her as a character and impacts all of her decisions. Now, Kara is older than Superman, and she was sent to Earth to protect her baby cousin and survive, but some wibbly wobbly, timey wimey stuff happened, and she ended up coming to Earth by the time Clark was a fully grown adult. James Gunn said it himself, Supergirl is going to be messy in this new movie coming out next year, and she should be. She is in the comics. She has so much grief and anger. In the New 52 storyline, she actually was a Red Lantern, which means she is fueled by pure anger caused by her grief. Now, this Supergirl in the DCU, who has a movie coming out next year, is this Supergirl from Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow. The new movie coming out next year is going to be based off this comic. This is my favorite Supergirl comic and one of my favorite comics from DC of all time, and I think you should definitely give this one a read. I think it really exemplifies who she is as a character. This story really explores her grief and how, despite all the anger and pain she has, she still chooses to be a hero, but she's a very different hero from Clark. She's a bit darker, of course, because of it, and she is not a gender-bent Clark Kent. She is really her own character and deserves her own respect. This is a pretty dark story with dark themes, explores themes of genocide, just be warned. I genuinely believe that Millie Alcock's Supergirl is going to be the best live-action adaptation of Supergirl ever. The CW show was the best that we had before. I think Melissa Benoist did amazing. I personally was not a fan of that show, though. I don't think they really captured Supergirl's essence very well, in my opinion. I don't think they really depicted who she was as a character accurately to the comics. Not that things have to be comic accurate, but I love Supergirl in the comics so much. I just felt like they gave her Superman's storylines and personality, and it missed the mark for me personally, but nothing wrong with liking that show. It was the best Supergirl up until, I think, this point. Now, spoiler alert for the brand new Superman movie in 3, 2, 1. Supergirl does have a cameo at the end of the movie, and to me, it was perfect and amazing, and this is my Supergirl. This is this Supergirl right here in my favorite comic book, and I'm so excited. I know people are like, why is she getting drunk? How does that make sense? But this is comic book accurate. This comic starts with her turning 21 and going off planet to a red sun planet to get drunk and party. This is 100% comic book accurate. And this is how this story starts. So this is really setting up Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, but I think James Gunn did say that you could watch that movie without watching the Superman movie, but it was such a special treat. I love the costume design, I love Millie Alcock already, and I'm so ready. One of the first comics I ever read when I was getting into comics in high school was this comic right here, Supergirl, Girl of Steel. I picked this up at my local Barnes & Noble. This changed my life. It made me fall in love with Supergirl as a character. It made me fall in love with DC Comics, and it changed my life. Now, I do think this is a product of the time, but there's so many great elements through the storyline, and I have not read the whole thing, so maybe I'll do that this weekend. New 52 did some really cool things with Supergirl. I love Supergirl, Red Daughter Krypton, in which Supergirl did get a Red Lantern ring, and I think it makes so much sense, and I do hope James Gunn does explore the storyline in future movies. I think it would be really cool. And my all-time favorite Supergirl comic is, of course, Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow. Anyway, that's Supergirl. I think this new movie next year is going to be amazing. I love Millie Alcock already, and I'm so glad that they're adapting my favorite Supergirl comic. It's just, I have high hopes, and I'm just so excited. She is one of my favorite heroes of all time. I love this new costume design. Everything is just looking absolutely amazing. But yeah, she's very different from her cousin Clark Kent. She grew up on Krypton and saw her entire planet die as a teenager. That is pretty traumatizing, and she deserves to be a bit messy. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and comment down below your favorite Supergirl comic. Let's discuss.